You must be kidding me. You must be kidding me. Those were the thoughts that went into my mind, and the words that came out when my friend Christopher Waite said, let's run a half marathon. I told him, I cannot run a half marathon because I barely made it around the block. So how the hell can I run a half marathon? Okay. And that is what we call a limiting belief. I cannot do something because, or if I run a half marathon, I will collapse and die, which is probably the feeling I had back then. So I had a limiting belief, and I had to take some steps to actually overcome that limiting belief. And there were really 4 steps, okay, to overcoming that limiting belief. The step number 1 was actually acknowledging that there was a limiting belief. So you have to know there is a limiting belief. Acknowledge, okay, that there is a limiting belief and you're on your way to stepping out of it, okay? That there's something limiting you and you have to acknowledge it. The second step was to actually create some doubt around the belief. Okay, so how true is this belief? Okay, so I cannot run a half marathon because I can hardly run around the block. Now, I have to be honest. When I was training and running around the block, right, was I tracking how far I was running? Was I more concerned about going back inside to watch television or to put my feet up or something else? You know, where has the belief come from? Okay. Did I attempt to run further than around the block, or was I being comfortable? Okay. So once you sort of kind of say, okay, here's my limiting belief, you create doubt about it, you know, how true is it? Number 3, you have to actually create some pain. So what we mean by create pain isn't to punch yourself in the head. Well, you could, but what we mean by create pain is to actually say, hey, if I continue feeling this way, what will the effect be on myself, on my self-esteem? So I'm gonna think I'm a loser, you know, sort of running around the block in my Lycra and not really sort of kind of pushing myself further, not being healthy, okay, potentially getting diabetes. Whatever it is, look at that. And also, if I don't continue this, how healthy am I gonna be for the people I'm coaching? How healthy am I gonna be for my family, for my friends? How am I gonna play out my life if I continue to have this limiting belief, okay? And then you have to create what we call a trigger. What is the thing that will really push you to really change that limiting belief into something that you must conquer, okay? And for me, it was my health, okay? I was overweight and I really wanted to reverse that. So it's like, okay, running, doing this half marathon, it could be something that actually begins the whole process of me changing my life around. So that could be something that could change my life around. So after creating the trigger, you know, I don't want to die early, you know, I want to be healthy, I want to live with vitality. The next step, number 5, is to create an empowering belief. So rather than saying, oh, I cannot run a half marathon because I haven't run around the block, I can hardly run around the block, change it to an empowering belief. I can run a half marathon, because if I run around the block, that's a good start, okay? There may be day 2, run around the block twice, or 3 times, or 4 times, or 5 times. You know, you build it up. And that's what I did. After the first week, it was running 1 mile, second week 2, third week 3. You build it up, and then eventually that's what happens, okay? So the 5 steps for your belief to turn that limiting belief into empowering belief. Number 1 is acknowledge your limiting belief. 2, create doubt. Is this really true? You know, is this belief rational? 3, you're going to create pain behind it. So that's the pain to yourself and the pain to others if you don't change this belief. 4, create a trigger that will push you into demolishing that belief. And 5, you're going to create a new empowering belief, rather than say I can't because I can because. Okay, that's J.U. Day. Thank you for listening to the video.